Hey, welcome back to Flipping Tables. My name is Sean,
And I'm Tico.
and today we have another Kickstarter prototype coming for you, and this is a game called Lonely Undead, where you get to play as the undead, trying to infect the rest of the city and
Make friends.
Make
Look,
friends.
You're lonely. You're
well,
just trying to, have some hangout buddies.
Exactly. You're the lonely undead, and every undead wants friends too,
Yeah.
So we're going to have a look at this game. This is a Kickstarter prototype, and so everything you see here is subject to change, whether it be the components, even some of the gameplay, the art. Yeah. Some of the art is still placeholder art, so there's lots of stuff still being worked on. Of course, the Kickstarter is going to be the beginning of June, so that's coming up very fast. And so let's have a look at the components. This is the board for the Lonely Undead. We have a city street. This is the city center, and we've got buildings around the board. On the back side of this board actually is a completely blank board where you can use cutouts for each of the buildings to customize the board.
Make your own town.
However you want. So there's a fully customized version of this game as well. And so we're going to play as Undead. These are our Undead characters. Here we have Brittany and we have Bob.
Bob the Builder.
Exactly. And we're going to start right here in the dead center of the city. The board is randomly placed with living tokens. This is going to signify where people are on the board. What you're seeing here is a board that's already been played and partly set up already. But the board's going to start with officers, with living, and also what they call kid living. So these are the children and yes, you can infect the children as well.
Yeah, well, these are bratty kids in this game.
Yeah.
None of these kids are ones that I would want to hang out with. Like,
yes.
There's the little thief, the stinky kid.
Oh, yes, the stinky kid, that's right. So the object is you have 4 movements or 4 actions every turn, which could be a movement. It could be doing a sound check on the living, and that's when you mosey on up to a living. Now you want to do a sound check, and the sound check means you want to figure out who that living is. So if I wanted to sound check this guy right here, I just simply draw from the living deck. I flip over the card. I see this is a mom.
Yep.
It's a mom. So I can actually go through the tokens. Every character in the game has an accompanying token. So I can take that token and place it on a little standee and put that on the board. So now I know
that's the mom
this
engaged with.
This is the mom that I'm engaged with. Not engaged to.
Not engaged to, engaged with.
Engaged with. And so I place that beside my board to say I'm engaged with that particular character. In order to do a sound check, I now have to roll a die, and this is where your stat card comes into play. So if I'm doing a sound check, Brittany has a stat of 2 for sound check, a stat of 1 for fighting, or for attacking. I have 2 movement per turn, and the object of the game is to infect the living. In order to infect the living, I need to roll a 3 to a 5, or a 5, 3, 4, or 5
in order to bite
on the bite die in order to successfully infect that living. If you lose all your limbs, every character starts with 4 limbs on their board. If you lose all your limbs, you're out of the game. Yeah. The object is to, in a multiplayer game, competitive, you want to be the first one to 7 infected 7. On your board. Or collectively, if you're going to play co-op, 15. You want to get 15 collectively to win the game. And so I would want to do a sound check. If I fail in the sound check, there's a negative to doing so. If I succeed, it's all good to go. Once I've sound checked, I can now try to attack that character again using my attack stat plus the attack roll die. The attack roll die has zeros. A 0, which is...
That's an automatic fail.
Automatic fail. You have 0, 1, 2, as well as -1 and -2 to that, and there's failure and success actions if you attack them. Once you've now successfully attacked and injured, and you flip over the thing to show that they're injured, you can now go ahead and try to bite them. If you do successfully bite them, in my case 3, 4, or 5 would mean I successfully bite them. I put them on my card to say that they are now in my clan. They're now following me. I've got a new friend.
Your horde.
Exactly. If I fail, however, they're going to get a bite mark on the character like this guy right here. He's got an awesome little bite mark on his face, which means in this particular case it's green, and
That's me. That's Bob.
and Tico's character is green. So it means that because he has a green bite, it means Tico can no longer try to bite that forensics guy. This guy here is the forensics guy.
If he's bitten a second time, well, I can't bite him at all.
Right. If I decide to come along and bite him,
Yeah.
and I fail, he dies.
These guys, they're very fragile. They cannot take a second zombie bite.
Right. They now die, and they go into the death toll tracker. That death toll tracker on specific values, in this particular case, we've got it set up so that on 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, something bad happens, and that's going to be these cards here. So we're going to have, in the first one is number 2. Whoever causes that person to die, you may not engage a living until after your next turn. So you have a negative for.
It's a significant negative effect too, because
because you don't want dead piling up in the city streets. You're trying to essentially do this quietly and gain friends.
You want to turn them and not kill them.
That's right.
So you have 4 actions each turn in order to use for your movements, for your sound checks, for your attacks, and for your bites. So,
as well as picking up aid cards. There's gonna be cards in the deck. As an action, you pick up aid cards, which give you skills. They give you abilities, and you can equip the skills. You can use the card to give you a +1 movement, to give you a +1 sound check. And you can use these cards, but you also want to add these cards to your hand, and as an action, you can pull a sound card. Between rounds, after each player has taken turns, moved, done their movements, sound checked, bit, whatever, tried to do whatever they want to do.
Use your 4 actions.
Use your 4 actions. There's going to be a reaction. The town phase.
Yep.
Each of us is going to take a reaction card and read what it says. So in this case,
so it's a party.
In this case,
oh, sorry, I was way off board there. It's a party. So roll the D12 to spawn 3 living. So you've got a black and a white D12 die, and you'll just roll those, and that'll tell you where it is on this black and white grid.
So I rolled a white 1. So in this row, we're going to place another living,
if possible,
into black 10.
Not possible.
Which in this case is not possible because the mayor is already there, but just say it was black 7. Well, I can place it right there. So another living has been placed on the board. I got
the car.
a vehicle, so I'm going to roll the red die. I got a 1, so I reference this. 1, the car is going to drive. It's basically going to motor through the city from east to west. So in this case, it's going to motor from here right through here. It's going to immediately you're going to lose a limb because I knocked you down. It's also going to injure this living immediately.
And if he was already injured, that would have killed
him.
And he moves to our death toll. So we have to make sure that we are also keeping these guys off the street. So it's really about safety. Zombies are being they're really just trying to keep everybody as safe as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal is you want to be the first one to capture enough friends to infect your friends and have a posse of 7. Or if you're playing a co-op, you all want to have a posse of 15, and you win the game. If you get up to 10, you lose the game because you've killed too many people, and now they're going to basically come and kill you because you've made too much of a ruckus.
Yeah, small towns will only put up with so much murder.
Right. And there's different characters. There's officer living. Officer livings are typically stronger. These are the values. That's the sound check value you're fighting against. This is the strength value you're fighting against when attacking. So the officers typically are stronger. They may have a bonus, +1 sound and fighting if adjacent to any living. So if he's beside someone, he gets a bonus. Then we have the kid living pile. They're typically a little bit weaker. Typically 1 and 1 or 1 or 2, but they also do get a bonus if you're outside or if you're at home or if you're in the mall. And then there's the regular living pile, and they're sort of a mix between all of them. And in here, there's also a mix. There are some officer living and kid living mixed into this,
shuffled in,
so that you actually really don't know what you're getting. And that's all. That's all of the components in the game. You've got your aid cards, you've got your town reaction cards, all your living, and you're going through those motions. You first have to sound check your living, then you have to attack them in order to bite
injure
them.
them.
You have to injure them. They cannot be bitten until they're injured. And yeah, if you successfully bite them, you gain them as part of your posse. If you
And there is the infection, bonuses. Well, that's way off. There's an infection bonus as well. So as you turn them, if you turn them in certain places, you also get a bonus drawing extra cards or anything along those lines as well.
If you fail to sound check or fight them, there's also a negative.
There's negatives, yeah.
There's a lot of components in Lonely Undead, and at first we found it a little bit confusing as to kind of what to do, but once we sat down, we played through it and realized these are the actions you're doing. This is sort of the strategy you wanna play at. It was fairly straightforward. Like I said, there's a lot of components, but it all makes sense. I love the fact that every character has a standee of their own.
Yeah.
So once you discover who it is, in this case the pastor is in the mall, you now know who it is, because if I disengage from the pastor, if I was over here,
or if you're forced to because you've missed the bite.
And I disengage with the pastor for whatever reason, normally that card is beside your character card, so you know who you're engaged with. But if I'm forced to move away, then that card goes up, but you still know who it is. And if Tico came along to engage, he would take the pastor card and put it beside his card, and he now knows who he's engaging with and all of the stats on that particular card. That is Lonely Undead. It is coming to Kickstarter early June, so check it out. It is a fun game. It's not hard strategy. It is a fun sort of light strategy party game. Like up to 4 players, and I enjoyed it. It was fun, but it was simple. It's not huge strategy, but it was definitely a fun like zombie game. They call them Z's. You're not really a zombie in this case. There's a great kind of story that goes along with the game, but they do call them Z's. And that is Lonely Undead. This is the prototype. So again, some of these components are they're going to be better quality once the Kickstarter is funded and distributed out. But you definitely want to check this out. This is a game, if you like what you see here, if you kind of like that chance, everything's a die roll. There's a lot of chance involved in rolling these dice, and even in the bite. If I bite it, chances are I may not actually succeed. So if you kind of like that sort of a risky, like a risk, everything's
push your luck.
It's a push your luck. Everything's die roll, and so you could fail like all 4 attacks.
Yeah.
And have to try again next turn. So there's definitely a lot of luck involved in this game. And if that's the kind of game you like, check out Lonely Undead on Kickstarter early June. Thanks for checking out this Flipping Tables, and be back for more. I kind of got tongue-tied there at the end. I didn't know what I was saying.
It's like, why am I still talking?
Why am I still talking?
Well, that's the best roll you had.
That is, I have never rolled a 2. Negatives or just complete failure is what I roll.
Yeah.